Secretary Clinton called them out. Oh, my goodness. They must have been really crushed by this. And was that before or after you received huge sums of money by giving speaking engagements behind them? So they must have been very, very upset by what you did. Look, here is the difference. And here is the clear difference. These banks, in my view, have too much power. They have shown themselves to be fraudulent organizations endangering the well-being of our economy. If elected president, I will break them up. We've got legislation to do that.
Welcome back, everybody. This is episode 3 of the Sleazy podcast. We've been off a little bit of time, couple weeks here and there.
We're busy people, damn it.
Yes, we are. We are very busy. I just want to remind everybody that the show is sponsored by nerdko.com. Nerdco.com. That's nerdko.com. You can get cool t-shirts and lots of cool nerd accessories. But we're going to go ahead and get started. And we're going to talk about Batman versus Superman still. Because...
we went into this a little bit on the Nerdco cast with everybody.
Yeah, we're still a little emotional over this.
Yeah, we're kind of miffed. I mean, I get the bad reviews. It's one thing if you didn't like the movie or thought it had structural problems, story problems, editing problems. But people are really hating on it. I mean, like, making it a point to hate on it.
Yeah, and I don't think it's necessarily like your average person hating on it. It's the critics that are using their power, per se. But I don't get the need for the extreme hate. Is there things you can change with the movie? Absolutely. Does it warrant it, 1 out of 5 stars? No. The movie's a 3 out of 5 all the way, 7 out of 10. I just don't get where they were going with that, And it's sad that a lot of people are saying, well, I don't want to see it because it sucks. And that's the wrong way to look at it. But...
argue with people who haven't seen it.
The one good thing about it, though, is that Ben Affleck did rock in it. Ben Affleck killed it as Batman. And Warner Brothers just announced that he is directing the next solo Batman movie, which he has written the script for, too.
Which we knew all along, but they made it legit.
Yeah, it's legit. It's coming down. And then all you suckers are still going to have to eat shit because he's going to rock it in that movie. And you won't have an excuse.
What's he done in the last 10 years that hasn't been good, really?
Yeah, exactly.
He's been winning Academy Awards, been winning.
And you can't say Batman versus Superman because it was good. I don't care what anybody says. Even the great Kevin Smith gave it a negative review. Went back and seen it with his
Jason Mewes.
Yeah, Jason Mewes, and he
came out. He had a good time.
Yeah, he felt like a kid. He said when he watched it the second time, and I feel like a lot of people will have to do that. Hopefully it has a solid Blu-ray sales, which I think it will. I know I'm going to own a copy, the rated R copy.
Everybody wants to see that extended cut, which, if nothing else, all this hoo-ha, hopefully they'll release it back into theaters. I'd go see it again.
I want to see the rated R cut. I don't care if it's 4 hours. I want to see it.
I'd go and see it for 4 hours. No problem.
Yeah. It was an awesome flick. I mean, the visual effects were awesome. I mean, the acting was great in it. The story was a little slow, but, that's going to happen when, Warner Brothers says, put all this shit in here.
Like I said on the Nerdco versus podcast, was it a smart move to cram everything into one movie to jumpstart the universe, basically? Probably not. I wish they had taken a different tack and maybe made 2 movies, which I think they could have easily done if you got a 4-hour movie out of it.
Right.
But I get it. They wanted to jump in there and have the Aquaman movie ready to go and the Wonder Woman movie ready to go and the Justice League movie ready to go. So I get it, but...
I guess Wonder Woman comes out next year in June 2017.
Something like that.
June 2017.
I'm always bad with release dates.
But, we're getting close to Marvel Civil War, and I'm pretty stoked for that.
I've already seen some reviews coming out.
Yeah.
I haven't read any of them because I don't want to know anything. But they're saying it's pretty phenomenal.
Yeah, and I guess Spidey gets a lot more screen time than we originally thought he was going to
I heard he ends up between Spider-Man and Peter Parker with a good half hour or so of screen time.
Yeah.
Which, everybody wants to see Spider-Man. They want to see him back home with Marvel, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Supposedly, when they did that deal, nobody knew, who was really going to be holding the reins of the Spider-Man standalone movies.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody was wondering how much which Sony would have and how much Marvel would have. I guess Sony made the smart call and just kind of let Marvel kind of have a big say.
Yeah.
So far, that's what the rumors are saying, and I hope it's true. And it might have Michael Keaton in it. I'm down for anything with Michael Keaton in it.
Supposedly he's rumored to be the villain, which is supposed to be Vulture, which I'm kind of excited for.
We haven't seen him yet.
Yeah, I don't want to see the Green Goblin again.
If he ends up as Osborn, I'm just going to kind of be slightly deflated. Like, just do somebody else.
Yeah, I mean, anybody else. I mean, I really think Doc Ock was done really well in Spider-Man 2, so it's kind of hard to see that one redone.
I mean, he's got to come back. He's probably, as far as the Marvel universe, one of my favorite villains, just because of the way he looks and the way they can.
He's an evil bastard to Peter Parker, that's for sure. But I just want to remind everybody that's going to listen to this, we actually have company today. Some listeners. They didn't
live studio audience.
Yeah, they didn't donate to any charity to get this privilege of watching us. They're actually probably just waiting for free food.
They're actually hoping you'll donate to them because they're a couple of sad sacks.
But we've got Jason over there. He's our longtime friend, the man with the golden laugh. And we've got Robert.
What's up?
Yeah, and Robert is actually going to join me a little later on in the podcast. We're going to do 2 podcasts and one tonight and give you, a mega podcast. But him and DevStar, if we want to call him that, is going to join us, and we're going to discuss NXT TakeOver Dallas and WrestleMania 32 from a couple weeks ago. And tons of fun.
I won't be on that one because I'm not mentally handicapped like the rest of these people who still watch wrestling.
Oh man, it's an art, man. I love it.
I'm not gonna lie. I'll flip through the channels and still check it out. I don't watch WWE at all, but like the smaller ones that you find on some of the local channels.
The Lucha Underground is really good so far.
I've heard a lot about it.
Yeah, and I mean the thing that kind of makes it cool is it's kind of like a TV show. Almost, so it's kind of intertwining with different events.
I think it's more scripted.
Yeah,
in that way.
But I mean, I love the flow of a match and the moves. I mean, that are sweet that they pull off. I mean, when they're punching, who cares, But I mean, when you get 2 guys that know how to work around each other, it's a really cool thing to see.
2 technicians. I mean, I'll gladly watch some of the old matches. I still buy some Blu-rays and DVDs from time to time. I think Scott Hall's got a Blu-ray set coming out, like a 3-disc set coming out.
Oh, that'd be nice
later
to have.
in the year, with his Razor Ramon matches. It's got his Shawn Michaels ladder match from WrestleMania 10.
Oh, nice.
Those guys had like 2 or 3 of the top ladder matches of all time.
Yeah, a lot of people still say that ladder match between them was phenomenal.
Any ladder match where Shawn Michaels gets knocked off the top of the ladder and ends up straddling the ropes. So it's always one of my favorites.
Yeah, that's awesome. But do you want to keep talking about Batman versus Superman, or?
Yeah, I think we've made our position.
Yeah,
clear.
I mean,
if you check out any of the Nerdco or this, I mean, we liked it. We're not saying it's a great movie, but people were hating on it quite a bit.
You're a cocksucker if you say that movie's terrible. If you say, yeah, I just didn't care for it, I'll give you that. But it wasn't terrible, so don't say that.
I feel bad for Rob sitting over there. He still hasn't seen the last hour.
Yeah, I know. And just to explain that to everybody, we went Thursday night to see Batman vs. Superman. Opening night. We're stoked, we're at the theater early, we get good seats. We get into the movie, it's probably
like an hour and 15 into the movie.
Hour and 15 minutes into the movie, then the power goes out.
Big storm moves through.
And we're like, okay, is it going to come on? We wait 15 minutes, they come in. Well, we're going to wait a couple more minutes, and if power doesn't come on, we're going to have to give you guys free tickets, and, we'll have to escort you out of the building. And we're like, okay, hopefully it comes back on. So they come in, they give us our tickets, and we leave. We walk out of the theater. Every other place in this shopping center, power, lights on, people coming in and out. The theater was the only one that didn't have power. It was complete bullshit.
Pretty much. I mean, it looked like some of the other, the Barnes & Noble and the Bed Bath Beyond and that complex.
I think they were closed, but
they were pretty close to getting closed anyway. But I mean, we went to the Steak and Shake right there in the same complex.
Right in front of it. We went to Steak and Shake and we got milkshakes. And then DevStar and Robert had to go to work, so we dropped them off at my house. And Kyle and I was on vacation, he was off. So we said, fuck it.
We really wanted to see the end.
Yeah. We caught an 11:40 showing, I think.
Something like that. At the Dublin, was it AMC?
AMC Dublin.
This
is a solid theater.
I mean, It's
all have
farther away, but I'd check it out.
Yeah, they all have dream seats in every theater, so I mean, there's really no issues there.
If you haven't done the loungers, you're missing out.
Yeah.
And once you do the loungers,
You
you're
won't
never
want to
gonna
do it
wanna go
another
anywhere
way.
else.
Yeah. So Thursday night they had the Brooklyn debate between Hillary and Bernie Sanders, and it got pretty nasty.
And just in case, if you listened before, you probably know that Sleazy and I we're Bernie fans.
Bernie all the way.
We've made that pretty clear. Eric's wearing his red Bernie shirt. I was wearing my red Bernie shirt debate night. So
Excellent. Yeah, I mean they took some shots at each other, and
yelling over each other.
It's funny, like even if I supported Hillary when I watched this debate, I would have to say, like, man, she's a bitch, and I'd have to seriously think about who I was voting for.
I think she's got a major problem, and it's sort of the trust issue.
Yeah,
And I think that's a big sticking point, especially for people like us who are Sanders supporters. You know, those transcripts and talking to these companies that are really responsible for not only the financial crisis but the financial state of the country and how, you know, wages are and all this stuff.
right.
You know, and she can't even say what she told those people for hundreds of thousands of dollars. You know, we could make a couple $100,000 in a decade.
Yeah,
And she gets it in one night for a speech, and she probably tells them all the same speech,
yeah,
and I think that's sort of like a core problem. That, you know, Bernie's got his issues. You could talk about gun issues. You could talk about some of the stuff he's voted for, and you know he could be like, well, you know, I voted for this. I voted against this for this. I was wrong. And Hillary can't do any of that. She just has to kind of keep her mouth shut. Keep saying, well, you know, when everybody else does it, I'll do it.
yeah.
But, you know, in this case, Bernie doesn't need to do it. And I think that gets to the heart of the issue for me, of why I'm kind of cautious to support Hillary in any manner.
Well, she's a total bitch. And I think the appeal with her with a lot of people, because she's winning in the older demographics, and I think a lot of people are like, man, I had sweet jobs when Bill Clinton was in office. Times were really good when Bill Clinton was in office. If I vote for Hillary, I get Bill. And that's the main draw with Hillary. You get
Or a
Bill
big
with...
draw. I mean, I think, like you said, I think people do. They associate them together. They say,
Right.
you know, times were good back then for, you know, certain reasons, and obviously she'd continue that stuff. But I think, you know, everything's different now than it would have been back then.
And I'll give her credit. She was a decent senator. But, I mean, I don't know, man. There's just something about her nowadays that just draws me off. And maybe it's the bitch mode, but...
I was sat there, you know, a couple months ago when she was giving that 11-hour Benghazi hearing, and I was rooting for her. I mean, she was holding her own against some pretty stupid questions. I think the email thing's a bit overblown.
Right.
I like to think if there was something she did that was illegal that she could actually get in trouble for, penalized for, that they would have found it by now.
Yeah.
So I kind of give her a pass on some of that stuff, but I kind of, you know, they say that she's a really well-defined candidate. You either like her or you know you hate her.
Right.
And I can kind of see why some people hate her, especially the right. I don't hate her, but I can see where they're coming from.
Yeah, absolutely. But, man, they've had a witch hunt on her for 20 plus years now. I mean, it's been pretty bad.
But yeah, I love the debate. I mean,
yeah, the debate was awesome.
I kind of wish they'd do them differently. You know, I wish if it's just two people like it is with them, I wish they'd just get rid of the time limits.
Yeah.
And be like, look, we'll give you a couple minutes to respond.
Get your point across.
Plus or minus, you know, if you start to pander and wander, we'll get you back in. But we're gonna let you respond. If the opponent says something to criticize you, we'll give you time.
Right.
You don't need to shout. You know, we'll give you time. We got 2.5 hours of this thing.
Right.
And so, you know, a lot of people are talking about the shouting matches, but I think it's two people. I want them to kind of shout.
Exactly.
I don't want them to be childish, but I want them to be like, excuse me, I need to get my point across because I think you're misrepresenting me or because I have a point. And, you know, what's going to happen?
I'm sorry, I'm just doing my Bernie Sanders finger point.
Excuse me. And it's, you know, what would be worse if you do a debate and they come back and say, oh, well, you know, you weren't very vigorous about your point. It was like, yeah, I wish you'd have stood up for yourself more. And then, would you rather do that, or would you rather be like, yeah, I stood up for myself. I stood my ground. Maybe I was a little overzealous, but I'd rather be a little overzealous than a little underzealous in getting my point across and knowing my supporters know that I hear them. And like I said, I try to watch the debates as much as I can, even the Republican debates. I think this is the person's chance. You're going to hear this person tell you what they need to tell you, and the worst, when you know your candidate is wrong, is when they give you that politician answer.
Right, they dance around it and don't answer it really.
And Bernie did that a little bit on one of the questions. They keep asking about guns, and I think it's a good issue to bring up because he's from a more rural state. He hasn't had to take issue as much with guns as somebody like Hillary would have had to do in the Senate.
Right.
And I think it's a fair point to bring up. And they asked him, do you owe the people of Sandy Hook an apology for, I'm not exactly even sure why he would in the first place. But Hillary attacked him on it, and they asked him, and he kind of danced around it and didn't answer their question. And I thought the debate moderators did a pretty good job of following up on this debate, and they don't always do that. And they said, but do you owe them an apology? And he said, no, not really, I don't. Because, what you want to talk about isn't what caused all the bad things that happened.
I love that the one moderator called Hillary out on the Wall Street speeches.
And didn't let her go on the transcripts.
And she gave her an answer, and, Bernie was like, you didn't answer the question. And she was like, yeah, why don't you just put these out there and put it to bed if you don't have anything to hide? And then, she's like, well, I'll do it when everybody else does it. When Mr. Sanders releases his tax information, which he did the next day. So,
and I think that's kind of a misstep that he hadn't done it already.
Yeah.
But I loved his response. Who didn't love that sort of folksy, well, Jane does our taxes and we've been busy.
Yeah. I mean, it is true, though. I got to say, Jane was fired up for this debate, too.
People love Jane.
Yeah, Jane's cool. And when I look at this, I see two people that really care about other people. When I look at the Clintons, I kind of see their own agenda going on,
And it's not that they don't care. I mean, I'm sure they've done through the Clinton Foundation a lot of good work.
Yeah.
But they're politicians first and foremost. I still think the single worst answer to any question on either side was one of their debates a couple months ago where they asked Hillary about Wall Street donations. And she said, well, I made a lot of friends helping out through 9/11. I'm like, did you just pull the 9/11 card about why you get big Wall Street donations? I really think that should have stuck with her a lot more than it has, because that was just like the most awful politician answer you could give. And you see on the Republican side, they don't need to give, Donald Trump doesn't need to give politician answers because he's not a politician.
Right.
But he is.
He's a clown, though. Man, it's something new every week with him. But, so that being said, Bernie is down 14 points in one poll and 17 points in another poll.
A fairly significant margin with not even a week to go.
I'm interested to see if he's going to pull out of this and get it even, or, is he going to get obliterated in New York?
He might pull close, but I don't think he's gonna win this one. As we talked about earlier to ourselves before the podcast, Bernie does better.
God damn it, Jason!
Jason over there drinking his Granny's peach tea.
Yeah, he's got Granny's peach tea
because he's not feeling well.
Yeah. Now he's leaving the room. We offended him.
Let's hear him creaking up the stairs. He's sick. We told him not to hack up a lung while we were recording.
So he moves to the other room where you can hear it.
He obviously didn't know how good the mic is.
We still heard you.
He's looking pretty rough. I lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, when and it's been shown in states where you have same day registration and days where you can change your affiliation closer to voting. Bernie does better. So if you wanted to change your affiliation from Republican to Democrat, you had to do it in October.
Yeah, that's a little foolish. If you wanted to
register, you had to do it a month ago. I think people should be able to do same day registration. And I think most primaries should be open. If you're an independent, you want to vote for a Republican or Democrat, you should be able to do it. If you're a Democrat, you should be able to vote for a Republican independent. And I think the system would be a lot better. But, the parties are both kind of against that, which is another reason I find to support Bernie because I'm not really. I like the Democrats. I'll probably end up voting more with them.
Right.
There are certain Democrats I like Sherrod Brown.
Yeah, Sherrod Brown's good. I do enjoy him.
And so I think a lot of Bernie people are Bernie or bust, and they're just not going to vote for Hillary. And I think I'm one of those people. Granted, I have an excuse. I live in Republican County where the Democratic nominee doesn't have a chance of winning, so I can have my protest write-in vote if I want. But I keep hoping he'll make it to the convention. He says he's staying at the convention, and I think he's got the money to do it. And I hope he does, because I don't, if they get to the establishment convention, Hillary will get it at some point.
Yeah, they'll nominate her.
But the thing I didn't even realize, really, they keep giving you the numbers, and they always add the super delegates in. Sometimes they tell you that, sometimes they don't. But I think the difference is only a couple hundred delegates. But because of the way the process is, it's hard to gain. But super delegates don't even count until you get to the convention.
Oh, really?
So it's only...
And they can switch.
Yeah. So going into the convention, even Hillary has to win a large percentage to be the nominee going into the convention at this point. So it probably will be a broker convention, because the superdelegates do not get their say until after the pledged delegates are counted. So, and there's almost definitely going to be some sort of broker convention on the Republican side. And I like politics. I like history.
Yeah.
So I'm ready to
This is definitely going to be a historic election. I can't remember one in my livelihood that, where it's come down to this. Normally there's, who the candidates are by now. After Super Tuesday, people usually get knocked out, and
I'm looking forward to the convention. I usually don't watch a lot of the convention. You have the big speeches,
right? And
toward the last night or whatever.
The crazy fucking people with weird hats everywhere.
Their sign.
Yeah.
So this might be the year to sit down and watch a lot of it.
And that's in June or July?
Somewhere around there. I know.
It's in Philadelphia, isn't it?
I think so.
Yeah.
And then the Republicans is going to be in Cleveland this year.
Yeah.
Which,
oh boy.
I kind of was hoping one of them would be in Columbus, but I just read something that Cleveland had to spend millions of dollars to outfit their police with riot gear.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's not great for a city when you have to spend all that money just to,
have a convention there that doesn't make you that much more.
Yeah. Well, if you got to spend all that extra. But it would be cool to see.
So, Sarah Palin challenged Bill Nye. But she didn't really challenge him. She just kind of called him out and said that he's no more of a scientist than she is.
And boy, in my book, that's a pretty big insult.
Yeah, that is a terrible insult.
Considering I'm not sure Sarah Palin's IQ gets out of the single digits some days.
Yeah. I mean, she is literally probably out of known people that are on TV and can speak their mind at any given point in time. She's literally the dumbest person I've ever seen on TV. There goes Jason again.
I used to like making fun of her, but I don't even like. I don't even like hearing her voice anymore. I still remember my dad's home watching the news nights. He'll be just like, "Oh goddamn, Sarah Palin," start changing the channel and everything. But this all stemmed from, I guess, there's some big anti climate change movie coming out, and Sarah Palin is either part of it or she was introducing it.
They're trying to debunk all the scientists.
Yeah, and Bill Nye's a big part of that because he talks about climate change a lot. He's got a couple books out where he talks about it.
Yeah, I mean,
they really take aim at him, and he's kind of fired back. And he bet the guy, one of the main guys. He said, I'll bet you $10,000 that next year is the warmest year on record, and it's been that way for a decade. Each year has been the warmest year on record. He said, I bet you the next decade is the warmest decade on record. He basically bet the guy $20,000, and the guy said, no, I can't take it, because he knows it. I mean, it's warming. That's all there is to it.
Yeah, I just don't know how you insult a dude who has a track record of being one of the most popular scientists.
The guy's got an engineering degree from Cornell University or something like that. He took an astronomy class with Carl Sagan, so he knew Carl Sagan.
Yeah.
And Sarah Palin said, well, he had that TV show for kids. Yeah, he's a fucking educator, educating kids. Maybe you should try watching it.
Yeah, you might actually learn something, Sarah.
And I actually, they're on Netflix now, at least some of them, and they're worth a watch. more for kids and everything, but there's still plenty of basic information in there that's good for everybody. It's no big cosmos, which I'd love to see Bill Nye get. They're doing a big Bill Nye documentary right now, I guess, and I'd love to see more from him. I wish he'd do more tours and stuff like Neil deGrasse Tyson came.
Yeah,
I'd love to go see him. I've read both of his newer books.
It just bothers me, I feel like we're heading to the path of Krypton, where all the scientists at Krypton are like telling them, like, "Hey, the planet's going to blow up."
I think it's cliched now to invoke the movie Idiocracy.
Yeah,
I almost don't like.
It's there, man. I mean, it's terrible what we're going through, and it doesn't help with these crazy religious people that they literally think like everything that happens in the Bible is true and it's going to happen that way.
And every bit of science is an attack on the Bible.
Yeah, and that's not the case at all. Science is, I mean, it's testing theories, and
the monks, who used to be they were the religious scholars. They were scientists.
Yes.
Early, they didn't believe that the Earth was only this old. And if new evidence contradicted something about it, they're like, oh, well, that part of the Bible was just a little, that was the story part of the Bible.
Yeah.
It wasn't the true part. And I just, we've talked about it, I'm sure, on the Nerdco verses before, but there's just sort of this intellectual dumbing down. Like you look
Yes.
on anybody who's intelligent as you have to be skeptical of that person just because they're intelligent, no matter what their argument is. You should always be skeptical of people. But it's like, oh, that person's more intelligent than me. I have to be afraid of that person.
And, I'm not knocking religion or anything. I think that it's a good thing and it helps some people become better people. And then other people, it makes them do very terrible things, which, every war that's ever been had on this planet's over religion and, something close to religion. But, I mean, at some point you got to accept the facts that surround you in real life. And you have to deal with them right now. I mean, because we don't know what happens when we die. And we don't know if somebody's going to save us. And my thing is, if it's too good to be true, then most likely it's too good to be true.
But, to take a line from a book and say, oh, this one line from this 2,000-year-old book, because it doesn't gel with this science.
Yes.
That with all these reports, with all this data we've gathered over decades and centuries, well, this one line contradicts that, so that one line takes precedence.
Yeah, it's like when they try to deny fossils, and they're like, the devil put them there to trick you. Like, oh, I'm sure he did. You know,
people are literally making fake fossils to fool people.
Yeah, and then taking the effort to bury them, and actually, I'm pretty sure they can test the bones and tell you how old they are.
Well, they don't believe how that works either.
Yeah, so. They're fools. That's all it amounts to.
I wish they'd take their skepticism and do something constructive with it.
Yeah. If you actually do what, the Bible is about and take care of the poor and, feed the hungry and take care of the sick. But, oh no, they don't want to do that.
Yeah.
But, hey, God's there for you.
Yeah. Like I said, so long story short, I wish Sarah Palin would just go away.
Yes. Like, disappear in Alaska. Like,
Go
how
back.
many people disappear in Alaska every year? There's something crazy about that. Like, they actually have a large amount of people that disappear, I thought.
I don't know. I haven't really heard anything about that. I mean, it's a
But
big state. Lots
I
of
wish her and her family would all be one of those people.
So if you want to talk about that, I mean, look at her daughter Bristol. She's the abstinence girl, and she's working on kid number 3 with like 2 different guys.
Yep.
It's like, just go away. Please.
She's a dirty whore. Just like her mom.
Just they're as bad as the Kardashians. Just go away.
Pretty much. I mean, they're pretty damn close to it. So we got to see some new trailers past
Lighten
couple
it
weeks.
up a little bit for the end here.
Yeah. I mean, Rogue One came out and Doctor Strange came out.
I'm really looking forward to Rogue One just because I wasn't there for the Star Wars episode, but I loved the movie. Did it have problems? Sure. Could it have been better? Could the story have been different? Yeah. But could the death of Han Solo have been more emotional? Sure.
Yeah.
But all that being said, I sat through that movie with a big old grin on my face, and I had fun.
Yeah, it was a fun movie.
So it's nothing that can't be fixed. But the thing is, that was episode 8, 7?
7.
I think with the episodes like the 7, 8, 9s, all that, and you're messing with Luke, Leia, Han, Chewie. You have these characters that are kind of sacred, and you really have to be careful. And here you go, you go back in time basically, and you do Rogue One, which is around it's how you steal the plans for the Death Star. Obviously, it'll be cool to see Darth Vader is supposed to show back up.
I hear he's supposed to have some brutal scenes.
I hope so, because Darth Vader's in between Episode 3 and Episode 4 when he really becomes Darth Vader. I mean, he's a badass, and people are afraid of Darth Vader.
Yes,
and I'm looking forward to seeing some more of that. If I had to pick somebody to have a solo movie, I'd pick Vader, just because it doesn't matter who the actor is really,
right?
And there'd be lots of cool stuff. So there's not this sacred thing. You can have these characters you've never met, you've never heard of, and you can just tie them to the universe, the Star Wars universe that we know, and show the Death Star and all this. So you can go out there a little more. You can do something different, and the trailer looks like it's going to be kind of different.
Right.
It's going to be more. I think they said they wanted to put the wars back in Star Wars.
When we first heard about this news, I remember you telling me, and I was like, man, if it doesn't have Jedis in it, I don't want to fuck with it. And I was pretty, confident in that opinion. And I seen the trailer, and I was like, man, that movie looks dope. I really need to go see it now.
I do definitely want a movie full of Jedis, but I think there's plenty of other stories to tell.
And for those of you that are Rebel fans, we do have some awesome Rebel merchandise at nerdko.com.
Get you a nice Rebel wallet, backpack.
Yeah, we got Rebel hats, Rebel lanyards.
It's a trap.
Yeah, we have It's a Trap hats too. But
so I'm really looking forward. I like what they're gonna do. I hope Disney doesn't Disney-fy it too much.
I don't think they will. They're gonna give us something good. Oh, there goes Jason again.
I hope they.
Hold on, do we get a cough? We have a cough, ladies and gentlemen.
I think he tries to go farther each time.
Yeah.
Hope he doesn't.
Is
die.
he still alive? Can you see him, Rob?
No.
You can't see him?
Rob, go do a pulse check, Rob.
Okay.
You don't have to get up, Rob. We're completely joking with you on that one.
Unless of course he doesn't come back alive, then we'll feel kind
Yeah,
of.
normally I'm like, damn it, Rob. But it's been Jason this time,
Oh, we knew Jason.
I think this is gold for the show, though.
We knew Jason would have his health problems. He was out mowing the yard all day, his allergies and the sun.
Yeah.
He's been up all day.
But anyways,
So yeah, I can't wait for this movie. We only got to wait till December. I love the idea that there's going to be a Star Wars movie out. Every year basically
for the next 5 or 6 years.
I'm down.
But so Doctor Strange came out the following week, and I gotta say, I'm fucking pumped for this.
I was telling Rob, and I've mentioned this to you before. Thor was kind of this benchmark because Thor was like the weird fantasy, go on the Rainbow Bridge out in Asgard. And if they made Thor believable in the universe, then you could believe the whole universe together. The next one that's going to be is Doctor Strange, because Doctor Strange looks like he's going to go out there, which the character does.
Yeah.
And if they can go out there, but at the same time tie it in with the universe, so it's believable in that universe, it'll open things up. There's vampires in the Doctor Strange universe. They can bring Blade back and everything. So
I heard something that Michael B. Jordan wants to play Blade now.
I hadn't heard that, dude.
Yeah, that could have been a false article. That I didn't really read it. I just seen it in my news feed.
I know they say Wesley Snipes keeps saying he'd like to come back. I'd be down for that.
Yeah, I love Wesley Snipes' Blade. He's awesome.
I still remember going to the theater and seeing Blade, in the theater. I'm like, oh, that was cool.
The first Blade is just such a classic. The fight at the end with the swords, dynamite. But man, I've never been big on Doctor Strange. I've seen a couple cartoons.
I do have a hardback collection of some of his comics I'm going to get through before the movie comes out.
So, I have an idea what it's about. I know he's a surgeon, and he gets into an accident, and he looks for his, somebody to help fix his hands.
Basically, he can't save people as a surgeon anymore.
Yeah,
but he still wants to go and do something. So I'm like you on that one. I'm not exactly sure how he makes the transition.
I think he finds the Grand Sorcerer or something, because that's what he is, a sorcerer,
the elder,
right?
I forget what his name is. It's like the elder, the ancient one, or something like that.
But and then he teaches him and all that, or she, whoever it is. But I'm stoked, man. When they have like the the different like dimensions and stuff. Like I was like, oh my god, that looks so cool! I can't wait to see it. And the only thing that I find weird about it is Cumberland Batch with an American accent. Did I say his name right?
Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yeah, Benedict Cumberbatch. Yeah, whatever his name is.
We all love him. We love Sherlock.
Sherlock, yeah. When Sherlock has an American accent, I'm kind of like,
So yeah, it was kind of odd because in that teaser they mentioned the multiverse, multiple universes.
Yeah.
So I'm waiting to see how they use that, and I'm sure they'll use that in when they get to the Infinity stuff.
Yeah.
And I mean, this stuff's getting big. They're up in the scope because we already know Civil War is already, there's early reviews out. Even before the previews that have been out now, people have been saying it's going to be a pretty stellar movie. Yeah. Now the actual reviews are starting to come out, and I'm not going to read any. I don't want to know anything about it. The reviews are coming out saying it's going to be phenomenal, and then Doctor Strange is going to come out in November, and it's got to sort of up the ante in this way. And then what'll be out next year? Will they start doing? Will next year be Avengers?
No. I had a chart somewhere. I don't have the chart on me, but I know it. Man, it's just weird.
It's got to be it's got to be Thor, and then Black Panther next, I think, before Avengers. So I mean, Thor's Ragnarok, so that's going to sort of wrap up Thor's arc for a while. I like what they did with Iron Man, where they ended Iron Man's story.
Spider-Man comes out next July.
Right.
That's what it is.
But I like the idea that each character sort of gets their trilogy. Iron Man had his trilogy, and now they're not going to do an Iron Man movie for a while. I like the idea that Thor is going to wrap up the Thor trilogy with Ragnarok, which is going to be a big epic. That's the end of the world for the Vikings.
Guardians of the Galaxy 2 comes out in May next year. Spider-Man comes out July 7th. Then Thor Ragnarok will be November 3rd.
We get 3 next year because of Spider-Man.
Yeah. So they must be like filming Spider-Man right now as we speak. They're going to have a shitload of filming to do in a short amount of time.
I don't know if they'd started yet or not. But then in 2018, what do we got? We'll get Black Panther, and then Avengers, and then another Ant-Man.
Ant-Man and the Wasp. Oh, dude, I'm down for some... I really loved Ant-Man. I thought it was a great movie.
I don't know. I don't remember who I was talking to about this. But we were talking about how, everybody loved Winter Soldier, and everybody loved Guardians of the Galaxy. And I thought, yeah, they were good. I didn't think they were great. People will argue that they were really, really good. I'm like, yeah, they're good. And I get that, But I really kind of enjoyed Ant-Man. It had, I wish Edgar Wright hadn't got kicked off.
Yeah.
You could see his touch in there. But I like that Paul Rudd's character, I can't remember the name right now, but he's just the everyday guy, but he gets that suit. And that's kind of different when you think of everybody else who's basically a superhero. Even Tony Stark, even though he's just rich, he's like a genius.
Right. But
Ant-Man, he's just a guy who gets this suit and he has to do what he's got to do. I heard that they were going to try to stick the Wasp in Civil War, but they cut her out. Yeah, they cut it. I heard they were going to try to stick Hulk at the very end as that post-credit scene, but they wanted to cut that too. They didn't want to...
I heard there was something with the Hulk, so...
Yeah, they didn't want to just shoehorn everybody in there, because I guess there's already going to be a ton of people in there anyway.
Yeah. Avengers Infinity War Part 1 is in 2018.
And that'll be the other one in 2019. So we got to get through another 2 years before we get to that.
Right. So do you think Captain America's done after this one?
Much like Iron Man, I think they'll wrap it up for the most part. And because they've got all these new...
And we'll have new Avengers in the Infinity Wars.
Yeah. And maybe they'll kill somebody off, Yeah. But they want to do that. Or, because, Captain America changes at one point anyway. I don't know if there's ever another Iron Man. They could always make a War Machine movie and this, that, and the other. So,
you have the feeling War Machine might die in this one?
They seem to play that up in the trailer. I don't know. I don't think so.
Somebody's got to die in this one though.
But
as long as it's not what's her face?
Black Widow.
Yeah, Black Widow. I can't not have her in a Marvel movie. Yeah, exactly.
Can't say no to Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah.
So it's just going to be big. Big franchises. I'm still a fan of independent, movies that come out of nowhere, and I love those. But I mean, you tell me there's another Star Wars movie. Like, where can I buy my ticket? I'm coming.
Right.
You know, where's the next Marvel movie? When can I buy my ticket? I'm coming. I'm sure we'll be there on our new routine as that Thursday night opener.
Yeah, I love going to the movies on Thursday nights now.
You know, I've never been a big like opening night person really, but you know it's good. You go to these, everybody's there to have a good time and see these movies.
Well, and Thursday night really isn't that crowded. The most crowded one I've been to so far is Star Wars. Mm-hmm. But Batman was pretty crowded, but it wasn't as crowded as Star Wars.
They didn't get there quite as early.
Yeah, I mean, we got there a half hour early for Star Wars, and we were in the front row.
Yeah,
because people were there, 2 hours before waiting in line. But Thursday night is definitely the night to go.
Yeah, I don't think it's not quite as busy as a Friday night or a Saturday.
That's right, Rob. You better fucking agree with me.
I absolutely do.
Thank you.
Better take a
Thank
day
you.
off, Rob. Take a damn day off.
And Jason's gonna lay the smack down on you if you don't.
He's got the Hulk pose.
He's gonna cough on you.
Jason
Smash. He'll cough you to death. But that's all we have for you. So we're gonna take a little bit of a break. I don't know. I might even split this in two episodes in one night. So and just carry on with another episode.
So before
that way, if you want to listen to WrestleMania, or if you don't, either or, you can listen to one or the other.
So you can talk to me about it for a minute. Was it worth it? Shane McMahon showing up? I heard he took a dive off the Hell in the Cell.
The Shane McMahon match to me was it was the match of the night. I'll put it this way: when we watched it, we were all going nuts, like damn, stuff like that.
I don't watch it a lot anymore, but when he came back on Raw or whatever, it was a pretty big deal.
Shane McMahon's definitely jump started the WWE.
I heard that Michaels and Stone Cold and Cactus Jack, Mick Foley came out.
That was great too.
Beat the crap out of everybody.
Yeah, it was good.
It's always fun to see the old guys come back. Even if they're not in a match.
A lot of people said this was the worst WrestleMania in years, and
really?
I mean, I had fun watching it.
So I haven't watched a wrestling pay-per-view in a decade.
But I'll tell you this: the NXT pay-per-view that was 2 nights before on Friday, the NXT was legit.
I heard a lot of people saying that they were worried that might sort of show up WrestleMania in some ways.
Yeah, it did a little bit.
Was that
very much so?
Was that the night they had the match between the two guys and they said it was like one of the greatest matches ever?
Yeah, that Sami Zayn and
Shinsuke Nakamura.
Shinsuke Nakamura. Thank you, Rob, for that excellent.
King of Strong Style.
Yeah. He came over from Japan.
And I don't know why they don't do that more. If they did that more, if they brought in more of the Mexican wrestlers and more of the Asian wrestlers, I'd be down to watch it.
Well, now they're starting to sign all this talent from all over the world, so it's getting a little better.
One of their biggest mistakes when they bought WCW was they got rid of that cruiserweight division.
Yeah.
Those guys were excellent. That was half the reason to watch WCW.
This summer they're going to do a show for the best cruiserweight wrestler or whatever, and it's going to be a giant competition.
That'd be
so
cool.
I'm kind of interested in that. But no, man, we can turn it on here in a little bit so you can see this match. But Rob and I have watched it twice already.
I'll watch it again.
Yeah, it's that good.
That's my number one complaint. It seems like 90% of the time I flip over to wrestling, they're just talking, and I just want to see some wrestling.
This is in this match they get a little rough too, and I mean they're selling some stuff. They're actually.
I think you hear Rob over there talking about strong style, and sometimes in Japan they call it stiff.
Yeah.
So when they're wrestling, they're really, they're really kicking you in the face and all that stuff.
And that's what this match was. There was frankly, a lot of that.
It looks better.
Yeah.
And knowing that somebody's really getting hit, it's kind of like, oh, damn, that really, they're not, nothing. There's nothing worse than seeing somebody go for that punch or something that is just, 10 feet away.
And they miss, and then they take the bump anyways, and it's like, oh my god, they fell down from the air.
Yeah, it's like that's like, there goes my suspension of disbelief. And I can't get into it.
Well, I think we're going to show Kyle this match real quick.
I'm down. Let's do it.
But stay tuned for the next episode or whatever. But thanks for listening. We'll catch you next time.
See you.